All right, Shalom, Shalom. First things first, I want to give all honor and praise unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash. And we give double honors to our apostle elders, which are the apostle elders at Great Millstone, which have diligently done the work for many years, and have fed us the truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. It's you hopeful elect on the four corners of the planet Earth that's believing on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai's name and truth, and also the confusion of faith that's coming in. Also, man, 2020 is one of the best years I've seen on planet Earth, man. Let's just say it. 2020 is the best year to date for Jake, man. When I say that, I'm saying Jake in the spirit, because us in the spirit are seeing Yahweh Shemi Shah work, man. All right, it's one thing to believe on this truth, but once the truth starts speaking and starts moving and starts being animated, all right. Well, let's see what that is. Let's look up that word animated. This might be another lesson, but hey, the spirit got us going here, so we're gonna go first. Let's see here. Let's just go to the word animated, okay? The word animated, because this truth is being animated right now, man. All right. Just like they said, the story of Pinocchio that became a real boy. It was a toy, okay? It was somewhat of a story of something that was inanimate or wasn't moving, to now it's being animated. It's being putting life into it. And that's this word, man. All right. Because it was told to us. That's why it says faith cometh by hearing. Once we heard it, we believed it, we were sealed in our minds. And then now the Lord is putting life to this thing that he told us to speak of. All right. And that goes into Ezekiel 37 also, the valley of dry bones. All right. The definition of animated: endowed with life, or the qualities of life. What's the qualities of life, man? Breathing, eating, moving. Those are the things, active. So this truth is becoming active by way of the prophecies coming to pass, as it said in the scriptures, saying, men shall fight against men, brother shall fight against brother, Jacob's trouble, earthquakes in diverse places. These are the qualities of life that show movement. All right, full of movement and activity. The truth has been animated to a whole new level, man, to where you can't doubt it no more, unless you want to be willfully ignorant. Full of vigor and spirit, man. This truth has been animated, okay? So Lord willing, I might go into this lesson another, more detailed, and try to get some precepts on this. But to stay on task, I wanted to jump into the lesson, African sold Africans, huh? All right, that's going to be the name of this lesson. Africans sold Africans, huh? I might put a little smiley face or face holding his chin or something like on those lines. But where I'm at now, because they're saying Africans sold Africans, or they're not privy to the knowledge of what was taking place in Western Africa, which, is beautiful, because through researching, past, let's say, a day or so, I've been, diving into the subject heavy, just looking at different articles, or since last night, I've been diving into it and just looking at the different things in articles, and it sort of hits home, because me being a person that both my parents are from different tribes. All right. Me, myself, personally, I'm from my father's tribe, which, attains, because, we come from Sierra Leone, Freetown, West Africa. So this subject, it sort of, hit home with me, where, it's like, I feel like it's my a duty to know about this history very well, which I knew about it. I knew a lot of stuff, but now going in deeper and mixed with certain things that my family has told me, I think, I'm able to speak on the subject a little bit, you know what I'm saying, or a lot of bit, whatever you want to say. But I just feel like I should be able to, dive into the subject and know it very well from my own personal self, And I did do that, and I found a lot of beautiful information. So Lord willing, we're gonna get into it right now. The first information that we're gonna dive into, it says evidence that proves black people are the biblical Israelites. All right, we're gonna go down here. Let's go right. Okay, right here. Let's start by reading this excerpt right here. It says, migration from Israel to West Africa. All right, and a lot of this you can find in the book from Babylon to Timbuktu. Okay, which goes into a lot of the historical evidence of Jake's migration to the western coast of Africa and different colonies that were set up. All right, but it says in 70 AD, Roman invasion Israel caused millions of Israelites to escape to Africa. In his book, The Great Roman Jewish Wars, the Roman historian Flavius Josephus stated over 1,000 years ago the Israelites migrated into Africa. General Vespasian and his son Caesar Titus fought against the Jews. Millions of Jews fled into Africa, among others, fleeing from Roman persecution and starvation during the siege. All right, so then I want to jump down to here because I want to jump right into the new information. We know all these information. Let's find out some things that we haven't been privy to. All right, because we always talk about Leo Africanus, which they say some scholars say that Africa was named after him, but some researchers also go into like um, that he was very heavy in Africa, as in going to different places and traveling around that area. Okay. It says Leo Africanus traveled extensively in Africa, South and Sahara, where he encountered innumerable Black African Jewish communities. And we always speak about Leo Africanus, but it was one thing I didn't really privy know that he dealt heavy with a lot of the Jewish communities. All right, one way or another. Leo later converted to Catholicism. I can't pronounce that, but remained interested in the Jewish communities he encountered throughout his travels in West Africa. See Leo Africanus al Husan al Wazan al Zayati Dal description. Okay, so what I did, I seen that and I was like, man, let's dive into some of this information. So this is the excerpt from Leo Africanus' description of Timbuktu. All right, this shows a lot of information that we were in the western coast of Africa, and that Africa, Jake, you had Jakes that was selling other Jakes, and this is gonna go into it. All right, Timbuktu. We always speak about Timbuktu also, but there's something important that we don't know about that was going on in Timbuktu. That Leo Africanus, which was an Roman Edomite scholar that dealt in that region, he shows light on. So it says traveler and scholar Leo Africanus was born in Spain during the late 15th century. He educated in Morocco and traveled to North and West Africa during the 6th century, informed at least particularly the history and description of Africa, which was published in 1550. The history and description of Africa was considered by Europeans to be the essential text about the African continent for the 4th century, and Leo Africanus, the essential expert in Africa and Islam. All right, so let's go down. It says one of the cities written about by Leo Africanus was the Western Africa city of Timbuktu, located in present-day Mali. Let's jump back down. Let's jump right into the actual excerpt. The name of the kingdom is modern one after a city which was built by a king named Masa Sulami Solomon. And it says in the year 610 in Haraji in 1232 CE, around the 12 miles in the branch of Niger River, okay? The houses in Timbuktu are huts made of clay covered, wattled, tattered roofs, and center of the city is a temple. Where did they get that from? The temple being in the center of the city. That you should think of what? Go back to Solomon's temple when we were in the wilderness. All right, because the temple was the center of our village. Okay, it says the city is a temple builded of stone and mortar, built by an architect named Granata. And in addition, there is a large palace constructed by the same architect, which should come to your mind also. Solomon and Hiram Abish. Not saying this is what's going on, but I'm saying it's those things echo. You know, you build the temple, it's also a little bit of a custom that you build the king's house, man. What's the chances of that? But I just wanted to tie those two together, not saying, you know, that's what it is, but it's just funny. It says where the king lives, in shops and artisans and merchants. But let's jump down here. It says the women of the city maintain the custom of veiling their faces, head coverings. All right. It says inhabitants are very rich. It says the inhabitants are very rich because we established. Just think about Black Wall Street. All right. You say, oh, Jake was under the curses. No, just like how Jake came to the landmass of America in the midst of hardcore slavery and oppression, but they managed to make a little bit of a stake for themselves. All right. So that's what Black Wall Street in Oklahoma was like another version of Timbuktu. All right, where Jake established themselves on a high level between trade and commerce with amongst themselves and neighbors. Okay. It says it says the inhabitants are very rich, especially the strangers who have settled in the country. So much so that the current king has given two of his daughters in marriage to two brothers, both businessmen. So let's jump down here, and it says, but salt is very short. Hold on. Let's go up here. It says there are many wells containing sweet waters. So now sweet waters, right? I seen this and I said, man, that's familiar, because sweet waters represents what? That spring water, that high pH water. All right, and that was spoken about also in the scriptures. Let's get it right here. This is the book of Second Ezra. This is Second Ezra 1 and verse 23. Let me go down. This is Second Ezra 1 and verse 23. I'm gonna try to get through these quick. It says, I gave you not fire for your blasphemy. So the Lord didn't judge Israel, our ancestors, which was us, according to our sins. It says, but cast a tree in the water and made the river sweet. What shall I do unto thee, O Jacob? Thou, Judah, wouldest not obey me. I will turn me to other nations, and unto those I will give my name, that they may keep my statutes. And it's not talking about other nations, it's talking about Israelite foreigners. All right, the ones that was not, this is speaking to Jakes that was born in Israel, knew that they were Israelites, circumcised, knew the Torah. They practiced the high holy days. These were ones that should have known better, but the Lord's saying, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna give it to these Israelite foreigners. All right, because the Israelite foreigners showed great faith to believe on the Lord and not been raised like that. Okay, but then the precept to that, because it's saying that he gave us sweet waters, right? So the precept is Exodus 15. So if we go to Exodus 15 and verse 25, this is the account. This is Exodus 15 and verse 25. It says, and he cried unto the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree. So sometimes the Lord will produce miracles, or the Lord will show you things that will help you out in the situation. All right, always remember that. It's not always thunder and lightning, man. Sometimes it's subtle. The things we Yahweh Shem Shah, man. It says, and he cried unto the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree, which when he cast it into the waters were made sweet. That means if it's bitter, that means it's a acidity, just like acid. Acid, if you put acid, you know it. Like if a fruit is very acidic, it's bitter. All right, so some like chemicals that are very acidic is harmful to you. So the water wasn't good to drink. So the water, that tree that he threw in there, purified the water and heightened the pH of it. That's what it's saying in the layman's way. It's saying that the tree that was put into the water, heightened the pH of it and made it to where they could drink it. Okay. It says, which when he cast it into the waters were made sweet. There he made for them a statute and ordinance, and there he proved them. He tried it. All right. So let's jump back into the article where it says sweet waters. All right. And then the definition of sweet waters is a fit of human. It says it's fit for humans to drink and does not contain bacterial contaminants. This water usually comes from natural springs or underground wells. It says, there were many wells containing sweet waters in Timbuktu. All right, and let's jump down here. It says, but salt is very short supply because it is carried from Gaza, over 500 miles from Timbuktu. It happened to be in this city at the time when when a load of salt sold for 8 ducats, ducats. Okay, well you see ducats. If I'm not pronouncing that wrong, Salakia. It says the king has rich treasures, coins, gold, and ingots. It says it's talking about Massa Musa. All right, Massa Musa was one of the richest kings in West Africa. He was a merchant king of the Berber merchant. Okay, it says for nearly 400 years, West Africa was one of the most profitable regions in gold production. So when they took down the Israelites in West Africa, just like when they took down Tulsa, Oklahoma, it wasn't just robbing or wasn't just taking them down. They robbed those people, man. All right, because these Israelites in that region were rich. They were filthy rich, man. Because the blessings started to squeak through the curses. All right, so the Lord sent the correction, which was the heathen, man. All right, the heathen put a correction back in the curses, throw us back in the position we needed to be in, man. All right, it says one of the most profitable regions of gold production. So it was known that there was heavy gold there throughout the known world. So when the Jakes in Western Africa was taken into slavery, they didn't enslave nobody. All right, they enslaved one of the richest parts of the known world at that time. If we look in the history of what Timbuktu, the gold that was there, look at it. It says the king had a rich treasure of coins and gold ingots. It says gold mining in the region and the gold traded with Berber merchants created vast wealth for West African kingdoms. Massa Musa traveled across North Africa and the Middle East to Mecca from 1324 to 1325 with a caravan of followers and 1,000 camels loaded with gold. 100 camels loaded with gold. You know how much that is? 100 camels. If one of those camels had 100 ounces on them, that's incredible wealth, man. He said he had 100 camels with unknown wealth riding with him at all times, or when he would make that journey, man. And it says he's ingot. An ingot is a gold bar, okay? If you want to know what an ingot is, let's look at the word ingots. The ingots is what? Mass of metal usually in a brick shape. That's gold bricks. So just like you see gold bricks today in the so-called the Fort Knox. Let me see how the INGO. Okay. Let me see that. Ingot. Look, that's what you call an ingot. Alright? That's what it is. The brick. That's what he was sitting on, man. That's what this is how rich Jake was in West Africa. That's a gold brick, right? Look how much one of his ingots weighed. It says one of his ingots weighed 970 pounds. Almost 1,000-pound brick of gold, man. Let's look up how much is 1,000 pounds of gold. Let's look at how. Let's look up 1,000 pounds of gold today. Okay. Let's go pound. So 1,000 pounds of gold is $24,000. if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, this is what it's telling me. Hold on. So that's the amount of money that Jake was sitting on back then. All right. So it says, but let's go down here. Let's read down here. This is the main part. It says the king is declared. It says the king is a declared enemy of the Jews. So we always know that Timbuktu was a Jewish settlement, but they adopted the religion of Islam. So they looked down on the so-called Jews that kept their heritage in that landmass, even though that they were Israelites in this settlement. So the when we say Arabs, a lot of these Arabs had to be Jake, because Timbuktu was an Islamic settlement. They were into Islam. That's why Mansa Musa traveled into Mecca with that amount of gold. So they were adopting that religion of Islam because that was the thing to do. Jake got hit in the stomach, man. Okay, when the temple was burned, 70 AD, Jake lost faith, man. Jake lost hope. They were lost their homes, their temple, their land. They had to run into the wilderness. You know what I'm saying? No sign of deliverance. They lost. They were already acting up. That's why they had judgment come down in the first place. So now they scattered amongst the world by way of the prophecy. But then now they started attaching to anything that they could find, man. Just like in the wilderness when we were with Moses. And we got done seeing chariots and great miracles, and we still went back to the calf, man. So what did Jake do in the wilderness? They ran to the idols. They ran to anything that they started grabbing for something, man, that could put meaning to their life. That's where you had what? They inducted the religion of Islam. And what did they do? You had the Moorish empires that was rising up, all right? And then you had the Timbuktu, which was establishment, a colony of the Israelites, but they were following the religion of Islam. All right? And it says, the king is declared enemy of the Jews. He will not allow any to live in the city. If he hears it said that a Berber merchant was just an Israelite that was a merchant, you know what I'm saying? That was trading, but they had some of those Philistines that was mixed in there. All right, the Berbers were a mixed tribe of Jake and the Philistines, man. Philistines and those northern tribes up there, those Hamitic, but they had what? Established themselves in those trade routes. And it says, and you had some Arabs in there too. So it was a nice mixture of everybody that was trading with everybody. And then they adopted each other's religions and beliefs. It says he confiscated their goods. There are a Timbuktu numerous judges, teachers, and priests, all probably appointed by the king. He greatly honored learning. So Jews were looked down on, man. All right. So they weren't looked down as no equals and all that. Everybody loves each other. It wasn't like that, man. So now I'm gonna tie in to the next article I have to point out how Jake was looked at in the landmass of West Africa. That's why the curses say that what? Your eye shall be evil towards your brother. So the Lord put a difference even back when we fled out of Jerusalem in 7 AD. He started to already put them curses on us, man. All right. This is the book. It says, or this is the story. It says the story of Senegal's hated recluse Jewish community. Okay. It says in the 15th century, the Portuguese began to sail south along the West African coast, searching for sea routes to India. Along the way, they landed in all sorts of places along the coast where they traded with the natives and documented everything they saw. So let's jump down here. It says one of these documents written by an anonymous Portuguese navigator provides us with a rare glimpse into a very strange phenomenon. A group of Jews who lived in West Africa near Gambia River. Some of the people here believed in Mohammed. but the majority were idol worshippers. Wrote the nameless Portuguese navigator, in this land there are Jews known as Gauls, Gauls, all right, Gauls, and they are black like the rest of the inhabitants, but they have no synagogue and do not conduct Jewish ceremonies. So this Portuguese guy was like, this sailor was like, man, these dudes got to be Israelites, but they're not acting like Israelites. That's why it says the Spirit bear witness that we are the children of Israel. So somebody that knew of the Israelite customs, or maybe he researched it or had some kind of knowledge of how Israelites were, and then he might have been an Israelite himself. We don't know, or studied, or we don't know how the Spirit works. But he knew enough to know that these people that was not had a synagogue and didn't do ceremonies, that they were Israelites. Okay. It says, because they do not dare enter villages, they settle behind the houses of the villages' masters. Credit. This is how Jake used to live. We used to put huts and be in the background, so to speak, holy, separate. It says, given this, why was this Portuguese navigator confident that they were Jews? So he's saying, why did he think that these people were Jewish people? Okay, because we were in the western coast of Africa. It says the rest of the letter shed some light on the matter. All right, it says they do not live. This is the rest of the letter. They do not live with the other blacks. But separately, wholly, he reported, because they do not dare enter the village. They locate themselves behind the houses of the rulers of the village. See, just like you had in Timbuktu. So Jake wasn't even allowed to come into the village, man. They had to put them just like ghettos. So Jake was catching curses in West Africa, but it wasn't to the fullness that we have today. So Jake was living in ghettos, living in squirrels and the back alleys of even Western Africa. So we weren't over there just living like kings, man. We were catching hell from the other nations and our own people. So they continued that hatred for, just like you had the Israelite foreigners, and then you had the Israelites that knew they were Israelite. They continued that in a different way. All right, by saying that they were we're not original, but we're more established here than you are. You got to be below us. Okay, so that's what this Portuguese traveler was saying. It says he reported, because they do not dare enter the village, they locate themselves behind the houses of the rulers of the village, and at dawn they sing his praises until he grants them a portion of milk, which is food, man. And they then go. If they do not do so, the rest of the blacks would not tolerate them. So great is their hatred for them, which forbids them from entering any houses except for that of the ruler of the village. If they find themselves inside the village, they are beaten with sticks. This is how Jakes was hated. Israel was hated even by fellow Israelites in the landmass of Africa. So you did have Jakes selling other Jakes, trying to, because you had what, Israelites that was well established and went into that Islamic belief and that Islamic way of life, and they looked down on Jake. So they sold Jake, man. And then you had you had Hamites that sold them after they got done selling. After the Israelites got done selling their own Israelites, then the Hamites turned around and sold them to get them out of there, man, because they knew that they weren't their people. All right. So, this is the information that's coming out, man. They look down on Jake out there, man, And it says, so, let me see. Many societies in West Africa have wanderers. Let me go down here. So why did the Portuguese navigator decide they were Jews? When he arrived in Africa and noticed a completely separate group of people, and furthermore, seemingly hated group, he could only use the term he knew to describe them, because the only group in the world that he came from matched such a description was the Jews. And the Gauls, all the sudden became Jews for him. It says Gauls all of the sudden became Jews for him, even after he himself admitted they do not conduct a single known Jewish ritual. All right? So the Spirit bear witness that we are the children of Israel. So Lord willing, this is edifying. With that, I want to give all praise and honor unto our power, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kodash. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kadash. Shalom, Akim, keep faith till the next time.